All right. Hey, how's it, everybody? It is right around 5 p.m. West Coast time. I'm going to call it 2 p.m. Hawaii time, 8 p.m. on that there East Coast, and 7 p.m. for our Central Time folk. I am Mad Statter. This is Chatter with Statter, and we are here today with a couple people already in the house. Let's see here. Shock throwing down the schedule. Rick coming in, resubscribing for 33 months. That is so flippin' awesome. Thank you, Rick. Gina coming in, welcoming in all the gangy. And let's see here, we got Lady Misty on the YouTube side. Darlene as well here on the Twitch side. And let's see who else we got going on. Shock coming in on the YouTube side. Mama Sean coming in from the sizzling Southwest. That is right. It is just a, a lovely 65 degrees up here in Seattle. But from what I understand, lots and lots of places in the country are having a bit of a heat wave. I think it's called a heat dome. And I hope that everybody who's in the heat dome areas are keeping cool. And everybody who's not in the heat dome areas, well, I hope that you are keeping comfortable. And Rick, Darlene, so good to see you. We did miss you the last few episodes, the last few streams. And I have to say, they were fun streams, but they were definitely missing a couple of the usuals, and I'm talking about you all. Pussycat, good to see you. Let's see here, Darlene. Oh, you aren't in the heat dome, but you are in a different heat dome, 84 and very sticky. Yeah, we definitely have not hit any 80s here yet in the Pacific Northwest, and hopefully we won't hit it until July, because our summer doesn't start until July, and I don't want it to be 80 until July. But my little garden is doing very lovely, and one day when we get more growth, I will show you more pictures of the Hamajang garden. But let's see here. Pussycat, just so you know, Leo came in last night, and he knows the difference between the duck dish and the chicken dish, because I've got two different kinds of cat foods now. And it looks like Leo prefers the chicken, just like Ashes prefers the chicken. So, for those of you keeping score at home, I now have two types of dried cat food that I have to feed my cats, because one of them's allergic to chicken and the other two prefer chicken. So, all I know is at least the one that's allergic to chicken knows not to eat from the chicken dish. And hey, Kenny from the Cove, good to see you. In fact, we're going to talk about Kenny in just a few minutes. But before we talk about Kenny, yeah, that's right, we're going to talk about Kenny. Before we talk about Kenny, we're going to get the party started. All right, let's do it. Right, there we go. And Pussycat, I'm very glad to hear that you guys are finally cooling down, because it sounded like you all were a little bit uncomfortable there for a little while. But uncomfortable is not what this guy was. This guy was cool as a cucumber, both feeling cool as a cucumber and looking cool as a cucumber. Boop. This is our very own Kenny from the Cove. He is outside, I think, a grocery store, looking sharp as well, I would say a bad word right here, but I'm not going to. He's looking sharp as attack. How about that? I don't know if you can see it or not, but he is actually sporting not only a Hawaiian shirt of the most classy kind, he is actually sporting a kukui nut lei. And Kenny did ask me for a little bit of some advice when it came to the type of lei that he was going to get, and I will continue with this story in just one moment. But first, I'm going to go back to my face, boop, and then say, "Hey Raiders, good to see you." Terry in Scotland, great, you're coming in with a truckload, no, a busload of your Raiders. Pennell being one of them, Katie's Aura being another. And let's see here. Yes, so it's Terry and Katie and Pennell. Good to see you all. Right now, we are highlighting our friend Kenny. Kenny was looking, he just decided to dress up to go grocery shopping, I think. I actually don't have any idea what caused this fashion moment, but look at that guy. He looks like he could handle whatever heat wave is coming his way. He's got the cool, easy breezy outfit going on. I told him that he could actually walk into a Hawaiian wedding and be perfectly at home with this outfit, especially since he's got a beautiful kukui nut lei on. You may or may not be able to see it, but it is there. And he looked so sharp that apparently when he was in that grocery store, one Samoan brother came and threw him a shaka out of the blue. That's how smooth Kenny was looking that day. Was the Polynesian guy said, I recognize that outfit. You looking good in that outfit. You rock that outfit. Awesome. And so, it was taken at church. Okay, that was your church boy outfit for the day. Well, I have to say, very appropriate for church. And Kenny did wonder if he should get a fresh lei or not. And I suggested if you're going to put the money out, you might as well just splurge for the kukui nut, because then it will last longer. And frankly, I think that it was so awesome he got the shaka. Now, I might have gotten the story wrong. So, Kenny, come in with the correction. Were you at a store when you got the shaka, or were you at church when you got the shaka? Not that it matters. I mean, the random shaka is just the awesomeness. But I just want to make sure I got the story right. I thought it was at the store. But if it's at church, then I will obviously correct myself. So, that's Kenny throwing the shaka outside of church, getting a shaka as well, and wearing the beautiful kukui nut lei, which I just thought was beautiful. So, like I said, we were going to talk about Kenny, and we just talked about Kenny. And okay, so you got the shaka after church at the grocery store. Awesome. So I wasn't just like somehow putting a store into the story. There actually was a grocery store factor into the situation. Awesome. Okay. So yes, random schmo at the grocery store saw white boy Kenny and said, shaka bra, because he was looking so sharp. And that, is how, that is how you know you got it right. And let's see here. Pussycat Luke just dropped a short. He's boarding the plane and he is nervous. Yeah, I'll tell you what, man, I'm not really afraid of flying, but even still, there is an element of nervousness, right? I mean, I guess, or maybe not. Maybe I'm just the only one. Well, and Luke too. I'm not afraid of it, but when I am boarding and just the whole, it's a little nerve-wracking when you really think about what you're doing, blasting off in a pressurized tube of metal, traveling over water, and I don't know why water seems scarier than land, because if you're crash landing, I really don't know which one would be better, right? Honestly, I'm sure physics could explain which would be better. But, it just seems when you're flying over all that water, like Photo Luke is from Hawaii to Japan, or say if I was flying from the continental United States to Hawaii, that's a lot of water to be covering, and I don't like thinking about that. How about that? And Pussycat, hope it's not a Boeing plane. Honestly, Pussycat, in this day and age, I don't even know what plane is safe to fly on. I mean, because it used to be, if it ain't Boeing, I ain't going. But now, and this is coming from people who work and have retired from Boeing, nowadays, the people are just like, oh, it's Boeing? I don't know if I should be going. Yeah, it's just... Yeah, and the thing is also it's like, oh, well, as long as it's a newer plane, it's like, well, actually, no, the newer planes aren't really necessarily any safer than the older planes. The older planes, you have to worry about metal fatigue, and the newer planes, you just have to worry were they put together right. I don't know. Oh my. Mm-hmm. They're making our rockets. Yeah, that's McDonnell Douglas is making the rockets. In fact, actually, here's the deal. Even though it is Boeing in the news, it's Boeing that the name that you hear, it's Boeing on the label, it is technically Boeing. The fact of the matter is, every single person in power at Boeing that has caused this catastrophic failure of a brand came from McDonnell Douglas. McDonnell Douglas is doing its best to completely decimate the brand of Boeing. And people who worked for Boeing during the takeover have been saying this for the last 20 years. But yeah, McDonnell Douglas is... Why did McDonnell Douglas's value fall so that Boeing could take it over? Well, because they were running the company into the ground, and now they're running Boeing into the ground. But alas, that is just conjecture based on cynical ex-Boeing people at the bar. But being as how I do live in a Boeing town, I know a lot of those people. And newer planes, just count the doors and the openings. If they match, then you good. Right, exactly. And Pussycat, that's true. The parts are made from everywhere, which is, technically speaking, one of the problems that former Boeing employees have. Because when you have parts that are made in Europe, they're made to metric. But we actually, still in the United States, Boeing too, use the imperial system. And you absolutely can convert, but the fact of the matter is when you have to convert and make up for differences, that's just opening a little bit more of a room for error than if they were actually made to imperial specs versus metric specs, or vice versa. And so one of the biggest concerns that former Boeing employees had when they started to outsource the everything being made everywhere was the fact that some of these parts are going to be made in metric. We don't use metric. And yes, you can convert, but why are we doing this when you don't have to convert? It's just, can't we just all make the parts on one system? You're asking for problems when we're using two different measuring systems for something like a plane. Then again, that is just the random scuttlebutt and concerns of the schmoes on the factory floor. The higher-ups, the technical engineers, the this, that, and the other thing can probably scoff and go, your concerns are silly and not valid, and they might have math to prove it. But alas, they well, my concerns are still there. And let's see here. Yeah, Rick, the U.S. lost a Mars lander because someone calculated metrics instead of feet inches. Exactly. It's opening a window for those kind of mistakes to make, and that to be made. And that is where the concern with a lot of the people who used to work at Boeing came from, actually, was just this is one more variable that we really don't need to invite into our system, And Shock, oh, I'm so sorry, you're going to be on a 737-800. Yeah, well, like I said earlier, I don't know if it's good or bad. It used to be if it's Boeing, I'm not going, and now it's like if it's Boeing, maybe I shouldn't. Yeah, you just don't know, so, and let's see here. It looks like Thomas a Turtle just popped in. Good to see Thomas. And Kenny from the Cove, parts are made everywhere. Too many cooks spoil the soup. That's sort of a, yeah, that is a concern, as it were. And, let's see here. All right, cool. So everybody's saying hello to everybody. All right, you guys. So, speaking of talking about, oh, Pinnell, you can't find a plug that fits your sink. Must be a European sink. It is hard. See? And Terry, you're telling Shock, don't sit by the door. See, I'm thinking that Shock does need to sit by the door, because the problem wasn't with the door. The problem was with where there should have been a door. There was no door. It was there was a potential for a door there, but there was no need for the door for that particular design. So instead, it was a fuselage piece that was popped into place. Well, that's a problem. So actually, I think it's, if you want to be, you want to be by the door, because the door is where the door is supposed to be. If that makes any sense. It doesn't make sense because I just really forked that up, but I hope you know what I'm trying to say. And Kenny, is it safe to be going if you're not on a Boeing? Probably not. We just don't know anymore, Kenny. We just don't know. And Terry, you're confused? Good. Then my work is done here. And yeah, exactly. As long as the door is a door and not ajar. I see what you did there, Shock. Cute. Oh, excuse me. All right, so you guys, I'm gonna be talking about. Well, we finished talking about Kenny today, and early on my social medias, I saw that Gina, who I think is here, she, I think, visited her doctor, and she loves her new doctor, which is super awesome. And it reminded me, I didn't let you guys know how my doctor appointment went last week. And since I had a month to, vent and kvetch with all you guys, I did calm down, and I did treat my future potential doctor civilly, but she was a little taken aback by my initial hostility, because she had no idea, of course, what the problem was. And when I told her that I had specifically verbally and written the instructions for my doctor to please be prepared for this conversation, and then having found out that my doctor hadn't even looked at my chart until I was sitting in front of her, well, that didn't go over very well. However, she is a nice lady. I will be with her I will stay with her for now, because she at least admits she doesn't know what she's doing with Hashimoto's, but she's willing to let me guide the path and consult with an endocrinologist if need be. So at least she's not going to she's not going to force me into the singular medication thing. So I will tolerate that, but I will go on the record and say, Gina, I'm totally jealous. You love your doctor, and I wish I could too. Maybe one day. But that's all there is with that. So now you're up to date on my medical situations. And Pussycat, as long as I'm happy and healthy, yeah. So far, all indications show that the parts are running the way they're supposed to be, and Terry, that's not quite how the conversation went. Doctor, don't you know who I am? I'm Mad Statter, famous throughout Twitchland. Yes, no, that is not how the conversation went. But I did actually expect, having verbally and written put in the request, to have her at least be familiar with my medication and lab results prior to the meeting, and she wasn't. Yeah. That bummed me out, because I frankly don't think you should have to be famous in Twitchland in order for the doctor to actually look at your chart and stuff before they meet you, before they sit down with you, but that, I realize, is an unrealistic expectation for your primary care physician. Isn't that neat? Yeah. All right, then. Speaking of neat, y'all, I don't know if you've heard about this. Have y'all heard about the Hellcat? The Belltown Hellcat? Now, I realize that in theory, none of you should have heard of the Belltown Hellcat. You don't even know, you shouldn't know what I'm talking about. Belltown? What's that? Hellcat? Isn't that a cartoon? Belltown is a neighborhood in Seattle. It borders, Belltown is the neighborhood that's between the Pike Place Market and the Seattle Center, where the Space Needle is. And so, and yeah, exactly, Rick. Don't expect any doctor to know your medical records. It's going to be up to you to tell them. Yeah, abso-flippin'-lutely. And Kenny, you went for a physical last Friday. Awesome. All your numbers, well, let's see, hold on, you just scrolled away. All your numbers were great. Best part, your highest weight in 93 was 350, and your weight last Friday was 202. Dude, you're almost You got out of the 300 club and you are firmly in the 200 club, and holy flirking snit, dude, you are almost in the 100 club. That is something to parade about. That is something to show off your kukui nut necklace and go wandering through everywhere and saying, I am so awesome. That is right. And, Gina, saying that you love your doctor is not easy for you to say. She was understanding, and we talked about options, concerns, and possibilities. Like the possibility that your thyroid medicine dosage might need to be adjusted. Oh, absolutely. In fact, speaking as someone who's had thyroid issues probably my whole life, but at least diagnosed for the last 30 plus years, the medication levels you're going to have to definitely, obviously I don't know what's wrong with you, but it's very standard to keep track of your thyroid levels and adjust as needed, because as your body changes, your needs for that medication will totally change. I have gone up and down in my needs based on, I don't know what factors, but I'm super stoked and slightly concerned, actually, that a doctor was ever under the impression that a thyroid medication might not need to be adjusted. Like, no, I'm super stoked for you that your doctor's like, oh yeah, let's do it if we need to. If, it might happen. And Terry, you were on levothyroxine for a while. Me too. Yeah, wow, first one, levothyroxine, first one. But I'm also on liothyronine, and it's the 1-2 punch from the levo and the lio that create the magic for me. Not everybody needs that liothyronine, but alas, I do, because I'm special. Or I'm special is what I like to say, but other doctors apparently be like, yeah, you're a pain in the arse, is what you are. And let's see here, Kenny, oh my god, you were in the 100 club 2 years ago, 160, but you weren't a healthy 160, you looked like you just escaped a Nazi concentration camp. Low 200s is best for you. Dude, no, for real, man, if you're 6 foot something, and you don't look like you're a short guy, so I'm guessing you're 5'10" to 6 something, a 160 is definitely the low end of a healthy weight spectrum. I'm not at all surprised that you feel and look healthier closer to the 200 club. Totally, dude. And let's see here. You're on levo, you were on liothyronine, and your doc thinks it boosts your anxiety. Yeah, Shock, I wouldn't be surprised. I know that when my thyroid levels are out of whack and I'm way too much thyroids in my system, anxiety is heart racing, and anxiety is the number one symptom. So not even surprised that that your doctor goes that route. And Gina, you've had hypothyroidism your whole life. It's only ever adjusted up. First time ever talking of adjusting down. Well, that's awesome. I'm curious as to what changes you might have done to create that down level. But having adjusted down is always a beautiful, feeling, in my opinion. And let's see here. Now you have to decide whether your unemployed state has sufficiently reduced your anxiety enough to add it back. Oh, right. Yeah, well, yeah, that's obviously definitely something that is only a decision you can make. Yes. And Kenny from the Cove, you're 6'1" and 2'2" is right where you want to be. Yeah, exactly. That totally makes sense. And yours is down from 88. Yours is down to 88 from 100. You mean your TSH? Wait, I don't know what you mean by those numbers, so I'm confused. And Gina, yeah, the anxiety's been bad for you recently. Oh, your levo dose. Got it. You're you're down to 88 from 100. Got it. Yeah, and Gina, honestly, obviously you need to do you with your own symptoms, but if there's increased anxiety in my horrible experiences, there might be need to adjust downward. Absolutely. I'm very happy that you are having this discussion with your doctor. Abso-flippin-lutely. And let's see here. What did Rick say? You adjust your medicine by cutting down the number of ice cubes in your glass. There you go. There you go. That is so cute. That is funny. That is funny. All right. So reversing a little bit from the medicine situation and back to the Hellcat and Belltown. Okay. So Belltown, it's a neighborhood in it's a neighborhood near downtown Seattle. It's between the Pike Place Market and the Seattle Center where the Space Needle is, to give you guys a rough idea of that situation. So, there's a gentleman who owns a Dodge Hellcat, Charger, whatever, and he's in a lot of trouble. Like, so much trouble. And so much trouble, in fact, that normally I wouldn't be talking about this, but y'all, the New York Times picked this up. This is actually nationwide news. And and so I thought I would share this little frustrating bit of what is going on in Seattle. You know, this guy is literally out of control. And I'm just going to I'm just gonna show you the news about it. And wait, hold on. You're gonna need high lift tennis shoes to keep your current height steady, just to test to see how long it takes for them to notice. And not being homicidal is very, very good. So I'm glad that you've gotten that there, Shock. Oh, right, of course. The size of the glass. The size of the glass is an important dosage regulator. Absolutely. Terry, it's not just the dude with the loud car, but yes, he is the dude with the loud car. But that is just the beginning. So here is more than just the loud car, but also not the whole story, because literally today he was in court about something else, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But right now, let's talk about the main story that literally the New York Times picked up on, and here we have it.
Yeah, police say the driver, Miles Hudson, is still not complying with a court order and a lawsuit that the city filed against him. You'll see some of the new videos that prosecutors have in this case, but they set a deadline. He was supposed to fix that car by April 15th. Instead, the prosecutor's office says that he continues to flaunt this excessive noise on social media.
Raven, wake them up. Wake your up!
The middle of the night in Seattle. And a noise that's become all too familiar for people living here. Police say Miles Hudson drives this Dodge Charger Hellcat and posts the videos on his Instagram.
You ready?
Making money from scenes like this, where he's accused of driving 107 miles per hour on city streets.
I mean, if he's driving 107 miles per hour in downtown, that's putting people's lives at risk. So, I mean, what are we waiting for, him to kill someone?
Chris Allen lives downtown and says the noise is beyond just a disruption.
I actually woke up in the middle of the night thinking it was gunshots until I realized, oh, it's, Miles Hudson and his Charger.
Prosecutors charged Hudson with reckless driving, and then the city sued him, ordering him to fix the car's exhaust. But now court records say the city alleges Hudson hasn't fixed the car or responded to their lawsuit against him. The city is now seeking a staggering $1,300 for every day that the car isn't in compliance with the city's noise ordinance. Hudson's mom emailed the court earlier this month claiming she's trying to get the car fixed and that Miles no longer had access to it. But this video was sent to the court last week showing the distinct charger backfiring and then pulling into Hudson's downtown apartment.
Wake up!
Prosecutors say they're hoping $83,000 in fines may hopefully be enough to buy people in Seattle some peace and quiet.
I'm proud that they're going after him. It's just, it's been a pretty slow process.
Hudson's mom is also a registered owner of that car. I reached out to her and him today, did not hear back from either of them. But police say that when they pulled Hudson over, he told them that he has 700,000 followers on social media. He makes a living doing this, and he has no intention of stopping. He is scheduled to be in court for the reckless driving charges and the lawsuit next month. People who I talked to downtown said they want to see more enforcement of these loud cars, and they would also like to see cameras that can issue tickets for loud exhaust. Reporting live in Seattle, Jeremy Harris, Como News.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys caught this, but first off, he still lives with his mom. Okay. $83,000 in fines. The car, they estimate, is worth about $100,000 with all the add-ons that it has to it. Why they haven't impounded the car yet, I still do not know. But he was in, he went to court today via a Zoom meeting for a completely different charge, which is the restraining order that has been put against him from a neighbor who lives across the street from him. He has been charged with stalking her and harassing her. And then tomorrow he gets to go to court as well, this time for the city of Seattle, where they're going to instate the fines. And he has to continue to go to court because the mental health evaluation that was required for the stalking charge hadn't been submitted to the court in time, but he has been court verified as having some aggression issues towards women, and he has, I believe, multiple charges of violence against women. So this guy's a real awesome dude. And the thing is he is continuing to flaunt the problem, because even though he has been charged with 2 reckless driving counts, which means his license is absolutely revoked. He is not allowed to be behind the wheel. He is continuing to put up these videos because everybody who's in the car with him is wearing a mask, and so you can't tell who it is that's driving. And just this last weekend, a few days ago, he has decided that downtown Seattle streets are a little too hot for him right now. So he went south just to like my neighborhood, which, by the way, I do see this car in my neighborhood more often than I care to admit. Luckily, he's not doing that fast, but it's a very distinct car. You can't miss it. But the what we call the South Center Mall down in Tukwila, which is just down the hill from my house, him and his friends went this last weekend, filmed themselves racing around, shooting gel paintball guns at each other, etc., etc. I don't understand how this car hasn't been impounded yet. But this guy is abso-flippin'-lutely flaunting and flouting. And Mama Shaw, new laws need to be needed to impound vehicles that are too loud. Yeah, I'm not sure if I don't know if it has anything to do with the loudness, but I do know that the in January of 2024, so January of this year, the city of Seattle, the city council passed a law, passed some sort of regulation that it makes it very illegal to do any kind of street racing activity. It includes like drifting or whatever, even if it's not on public streets. So because of that, that's why he left the city of Seattle limits to go do what he did in Tukwila, because Tukwila is a different city. Tukwila is outside of Seattle. And so Seattle, if he had been in a Seattle parking lot doing these racing and the taking over the road show basically, and the donuts and the skids and the gel paint shooting of each other. If he'd done that in Seattle, that car absolutely would have been impounded. But because he was in Tukwila, the city of Seattle's hands are tied, and there is no law in Tukwila against what he did. So, so that is something that we are right now in the Puget Sound dealing with, and why I don't understand how he hasn't been arrested. I don't understand. I just don't understand how it has gotten to this point. And I think a lot of people are confused, because here's the deal. You know, he literally filmed himself going 107 miles an hour down a city street. Now, granted, it was at night and the city street was most likely empty-ish, but that doesn't mean that the street's guaranteed to be empty. I mean, I'm out at 2 o'clock in the morning sometimes, right? I don't know. Pussycat, I am sure you don't approve of his behavior. In fact, I dare say a lot of people in the legit racing world don't approve of his behavior. In fact, actually, I know that they don't, because on his social media pages, he links to all of the customizations and the outsourcing, all the companies that he works with, that he's modified his car with, parts and, things from. He has links to them on their social media. And when the news organizations reached out to some of those companies, some of the companies were stoked. They were like, yeah, we love him. He's our favorite customer. But some of the companies that are like legit race, they work with legit racing cars. They were horrified and are actively pursuing separating themselves from this guy and asking him to remove their references from his social media. They don't want to be associated with them because seriously, they do not approve of their technology being used in that way. And Mama Sean, the police department needs to use that video to bring him in. That video is already part of the court proceedings. I don't understand how he's not arrested because of that video. I truly don't understand it. Because to me, that video alone, I mean, y'all, I grew up in a time where, you weren't, weed was illegal. You were not allowed to do a lot of stuff. And let me just tell you right now, the rule of thumb in my friend circle was, if we're doing something illegal, nobody better have a camera. Nobody better have her camera out. Now, I realize that everybody has a camera these days. I get it. But that doesn't mean you have to have it out. You can always have it in your back pocket. Just don't film yourself breaking the law. Am I like the only generation? Did the younger generations not get that memo? When you break the law, don't film it. Don't film it. Okay, all right. You know what? Okay, you're right. I'm not filming it. I'm videoing it. This doesn't have any film in it. Okay, fine. Don't video it. How about that? Don't video it. I don't think these young kids ever got that message. And you are right, Pussycat. The sound of cars echoing off buildings is actually kind of neat. And Kenny from the Cove, has anyone mistaken that person for a man? Probably not. No, he's just a young boy. He's just a silly young boy. And let's see here. Terry in Scotland coming in. The name Tukwila is the Chinook jargon word for nut or hazelnut, referring to the hazelnut trees that grew in the area. The Duwamish lived in cedar longhouses, hunted and fished, picked wild berries, and used the river for trade with neighboring peoples. That is very, very true. And you guys, just so you know, Chief Sealf, who the city of Seattle is named after, was a member of the Duwamish-Suquamish tribes. And Suquamish is a federally recognized tribe. Duwamish is not a federally recognized tribe. So The city of Seattle is named after the chief of a tribe that the federal government doesn't acknowledge to ever have existed. It's so weird being a Native American. So many very confusing mixed messages being sent there. Yeah, we love your chief. We're naming a town after him. But his tribe doesn't exist. Okay. And Mama Sean, that's exactly true. Until more idiots that post on TikTok go to jail, they won't stop because they're making money. Absolutely. Hey, Mitchie Mama, good to see you. And shock, for a while a friend of yours had vanity plates that said speeder. Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. I mean, unless he was like an old man who never did, like, who always drove 5 miles under the speed limit, in which case that would be funny. And let's see here. I saw a video where a Corvette has a tag that says "will run," and he runs from the cops. You know, back in my day, it never crossed my mind to have a customized plate that said weed dealer, even though I was one. And I feel like will run is about as smart as weed dealer in regards to the kind of plate you should or shouldn't have. And Terry, I thought district attorneys for a second too, but I think she meant dumbass. And shock, it amazes me that people who are so intelligent can be so stupid. I'll tell you, dude, there's so many different types of intelligence, and I think what it boils down to is, like, your basket can only hold so much intelligence. So when it's all filled with book smarts, it's got no room for street smarts. I think that's where that comes from. And let's see here. Hey, Lady Misty, did I say hi to you? I feel like I might have, but I also feel like I might not have. So if I didn't, hey, Lady Misty, good to see you. And alrighty, so let's see here. Right, yeah, exactly. He can do maths and physics, but zero social anything, precisely. And let's see here. Pinnell, confusing to be Indigenous Canadian too. Seems to be pretendians everywhere. Confusing for everyone. Oh my God, Pinnell. Speaking of pretendians, did you hear about Buffy St. Marie? Holy flirking snit, did you hear about Buffy St. Marie? Y'all, I don't know if you even know who Buffy St. Marie is, but she is one of the more famous Native American performers. She's been around like since I don't know, the 70s or whatever. Well, in the last little while, 5 years or so, things started to come out that she might not be Native or Indigenous at all, even though she totally claims that she is. And then eventually proof came out, like, no, dude, you're not. You're like Italian. You're not Native. Now, she has, prior to this news being public, she had been adopted into a particular tribe whose name I cannot remember. I want to say it's some sort of Plains tribe. Definitely don't quote me on that. And so in that sense, she is technically accepted socially as an Indian amongst at least that tribe. But once the word got out about her actual biology and like DNA, a lot of tribes are just like, girl, you're a pretendian. We're tired of pretendians. You're a pretendian. Just get out of my face. And so much disappointment with Buffy St. Marie. And so, yes, it was a Saskatchewan tribe. Okay. Yeah, and so it was kind of a big deal. And yeah, on October 27th, 2023, yeah, so not that long ago, like I said, or like Chuck was saying, this scuttlebutt's been around for a while, but the proof came out relatively recently. And yeah, her official birth certificate indicates that she was born in Stoneham, Massachusetts, to her white parents, Albert and Winifred Santa Maria. Santa Maria. Yeah, sounds European to me. And Chuck, I think if you're going to be adopted in, you should be clear about it, especially if you're representing First Nations. Precisely, but I believe, and now this timeline is, somebody can definitely look it up for me, but if they care. But she was representing herself as a Native American long before that tribe adopted her into their tribe, from my understanding. It wasn't until she became kind of like a famous Native American representative that tribe adopted her into their tribe. So she was already pretending to be an Indian before there was any official acceptance within any kind of tribe. And yeah, they were definitely, people were definitely not stoked on that. I'm not gonna pretend I can judge her, but it doesn't sound good. No, exactly. Yeah, I'm not in the position to be offended per se, because I am not Native, but I can 1000% recognize why the Native community is just like, this is not okay. You are on my list. Yeah. Yeah. And all right. So now that we got off on that random tangent about Buffy St. Marie, Kenny, right, if you sleep in your garage and change your name to Silverado, how long will it take me to fool people into believing you're a truck? I don't know, dude. I mean, you're gonna have to start farting diesel, I think, or something. All right, y'all. So it is right around the time for our Lono listening break. And so I thought I'd pull this one out of the archives, as it were. This song is not available on any album. It is available on his YouTube page. It is one of my favorite Lono tunes, and I don't know how many of you have heard it before. If you don't spend too much time on Lono's YouTube page, Kaupe'epe'e, you might not have heard it at all. And so here we go. Lady Carries Me by Lono.
Welcome back. It's been a while. Sorry. Okay. Let's go. Time that I see her face, left a message, cause I know that's as close as I'll get. Wondering every time there's a full moon again, what was the good thing that came out of this? Once again we're looking for control. Oh, it's a raging sea in front of me. I'm being tossed and turned like a boat at sea. Some time, and I'm wondering if that lady carry me where no one else could see, when no one else would have me. Did that lady carry me? It's that lesson in life I'm learning every day. When the winds from the south bring the cold and the I forgot her, hey, what was her name? She waited for me when I was stumbling again. Am I looking for answers, looking for a friend to go with me down the river again? It's a raging sea saw it burning fires in a ride, but it kept me warm all those long cold nights. Could it ever have worked if we kept it intact? Before we lost everything, we could never get back. Yeah, we'll pick up the pieces and start over again. And I'll take her from the crowd, 'cause she's my best friend. It's a raging sea in front of me. I'm being tossed and turned like a boat at sea. All I need is some time, and I'm wondering if did that lady carry me where no one else could see, when no one else would have me? Did that lady carry me? Well, it's a raging sea in front of me. I'm being tossed and turned like a boat at sea. All I need is some time, and I'm wondering if did that lady carry me where no one else could see, when no one else would have me? Did that lady carry me? Did that lady carry me where no one else could see, when no one else would have me? Did that lady carry
All right, there you have it, Rabbit. That was our little Lono listen break, and it looks like we've got folks talking about travels and gardens. And Mama Sean had to give up on her garden, I guess, because the squirrels. Such a bummer, dude. I don't know what's going on. I have my little Hamajang garden is just beginning right now. My peas are looking strong and happy, but my beans, I don't know what is eating them, dude, but like there's just there's a little bug or something that's just eating my little bean leaves. Not all of them, but enough of them that I'm getting a little bit annoyed. And so I'm kind of worried. I mean, I did overplant my beans, so I guess I shouldn't be too worried, but like what? Why are there holes in my bean leaves so soon already? They've barely sprouted, for goodness sake. And they're in boxes. And so let's see here. Shock, your beans just put out stringy things. Climbers, what do you call those? Hands? I don't know, actually. I mean, I know I know exactly what you're talking about. Tendrils! No, Rick, I call them hands. I call them hands. Yeah, tendrils, that's actually right, tendrils. I prefer the term hands. It's their hands. It makes them climb. And my beans don't have any tendrils yet. My peas have plenty tendrils. Although they're not using the poles that I put in there for you. And Kenny, spritz those beans with some kind of bug killer. Oh, you're so funny. No, I don't use bug killer in my yard. I don't use pesticides, and for the most part, I don't use many herbicides. With the one exception, I do use herbicide on the blackberries, but it's a systemic herbicide. I get it directly on the plant. Sometimes I'll even paint it on the leaves so it doesn't get onto other plants. But I don't use chemical fertilizers. I don't use, I might use some sort of like, dish soap and cayenne or whatever, but I don't use any kind of pesticides. But what, not even the natural organic stuff? No, not unless it's huge. No, actually, I can't think of any time I ever have. I mean, I'm open to it. I just would rather go a different route than that. But so you know, I would rather buy a box full of ladybugs than do any kind of spritzy spray. But that's just me. But after like 20 plus years of my yard having none of those things, now it is kind of like a point of pride. I don't want to like break that cycle, which is really stupid. I know, but whatever. And Shock, there are plants you can put in that will discourage pests. That way you can put will discourage pests the way that you can put in lemongrass to repel skeeters. Yeah, I mean, it's not... They're not being decimated yet. But there's a couple of them that I do have concern for, but at the same time, it's like, whatever. If I have to sacrifice 2 or 3 to the bugs, and then I keep the other 25 plants, we're all good to go. We'll see. And let's see here. Terry in Scotland coming in with, like, you know, real stuff. Tendril, a slender thread-like appendage of a climbing plant, often growing in a spiral form that stretches out and twines around any suitable support. Exactly. Otherwise known as hands. And, oh, wait, what? Wait, what? Oh, you had a 4-foot snake. Got it. I thought you were talking about a 4-foot tendril. I was very confused. And Pinnell, yes, there are flowers that repel bugs, and that is true, Shock. I just recently learned that decimation is only 10%. I was always under the impression that it was 90%. But I still think the decimation hasn't happened yet with 10%. And by the way, and Shock, I'll bet you, why do you know that so off the top of your head there, Shock? Was there a particular YouTube video that discussed the definition of decimation that you might have seen not but a week or so ago? And Rick and Doc Rick, you saw that Bo video too. Absolutely. So for those of you who might not know what we're giggling about, there is a YouTube content creator called Bo of the Fifth Column, and he discusses pretty much everything that we're not going to talk about on this show. That's what he talks about. Very worldly political topics. And in one of the episodes that he had, he was talking about the how surprised he was that he didn't know most people didn't know the definition of decimation. And as it turns out, decimation, deca meaning, 10, it means, when I use the term decimation or think of it, I always thought of it as like an outright wiping out of, like 90% has just been gone and there's only 10% left. No. Decimation just means 10% of it's gone. 10%. Decimation really isn't that big of a deal in a lot of contexts. It's a big of a deal in some contexts, don't get me wrong. But decimation, it's actually just 1 out of 10. So it's 10%. It's not nearly as big of a deal as what I thought it was. So yeah. Shock, you're a history nerd, so you knew. Yeah, I had no idea. I had no flippin' clue. And let's see here. You used to pick caterpillars off your balcony plants, but now there's too many trees to grow them in that place. Got it. And Picola T, what are you? Oh, here we go. You used to... Hold on, wait. You're only 10 inches more. Oh, right. 10 inches more than the 4-foot snake. Right. Yeah, that's a big deal. And I can see why. Yeah. And Colty's like, I'm 4'10" and I can still pack a punch. Yeah, but can you pack a punch against a snake that's as tall as you? That's so scary. And Terry in Scotland coming in, historical, the killing of 1 in every 10 of a group of peoples as a punishment for the whole group, originally with reference to a mutinous Roman legion. That is, yes, exactly. And Shock, don't get me started on words that either sound like the correct one or don't mean what you think it means. Well, yeah, that happens. That happens. So, let's see here. Mitchie Mama, what really irritated me was the worms that appear to go through the tomato leaves. They left the tomatoes alone, but I hate the ugly leaves. That's your perfectionism. Oh my. Yes, that is true. Speaking from a roller derby perspective, which we've already discussed here on this channel, Shock is saying death from below by shorties. We are hard to defend against. Yep, in roller derby, that is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. And you kind of knew about the way, but the way decimation is commonly used, it is way more dramatic. Right, and that's just the way I never knew the historical context of that word. So to me, I don't know. In fact, actually, it wasn't even until the Bow of the Fifth Column stream where he was talking about that word that it even occurred to me that decimation had the word deci, meaning 10, in it. I didn't even think about what I was saying. And Shock, your favorite example is that melon farmer that caused you to leave NASA, talking about how he was going to slam something with extreme unction. He clearly doesn't know what unction means. Unction, I don't know what unction means. I know what unctuous means, and it bothers me when people use it in reference to food, because food shouldn't be unctuous at all. So don't call it that, especially if you're trying to say it sounds good, it's tasty. Don't call it plastic, but that's all right. And Darlene, it seems to be a rough year for some of us gardeners. Holes in leaves or pest destroying. Exactly. And I know that one of the plants that gardeners like to plant to keep pests away from their crops is nasturtiums. But here's the deal with some plants like nasturtiums. It's not that they keep the bugs away. It's that the bugs prefer the nasturtiums to what you don't want them to have. So you're not getting rid of bugs. You're just putting a tasty bug feast that they would rather have. You're sacrificing your nasturtiums to save your tomatoes, is basically what's going on there. And let's see here. And Shock, a noun. Let's see here. Hold on. God dang it. Okay, an act of anointing, especially as a medical treatment or religious rite. The unguent or ointment salve, something soothing or comforting, and excessive, effective, sometimes cloying earnestness or fervor in manner, especially in speaking. So he was not going to comfort or anoint anything. Got it. And let's see here. Oh, Shock, your raspberries and figs are entirely sacrificial. Yes. Huh, I would want my raspberries. I would want my raspberries. And Kenny, who decided it was going to get all mathy in here? Yeah, I know, right? Math is generally not exactly what I am known for being a fan of, despite my industry, or perhaps because of my industry. So we better change the topic. Yes, we better. And you know, what else is there to talk about except for foods, right? And I said that we were going to talk about this last stream, but we never got around to it. And so this stream, y'all, exactly as they say, there's just no taste for accounting. But you know what we do oftentimes have a taste for? Eggs. Eggsies. That's right, eggs. And so I have a question for you guys. Because it's getting to be summer and potlucks and barbecues and things like that, I was wondering a couple things. First off, what method do you all like to use to hard boil your eggs. I suppose the bigger question is, how do you like to prepare your eggs, right? But if you're going to boil eggs, what is your go-to method for boiling eggs? And as a corollary, what kind of deviled egg recipe do all y'all use? Because deviled eggs can come in a bunch of different forms, as per an example right here. You've got your classic dill with mustard. You've got your little chickens looking all Eastery. You've got your Halloween spooktaculars. You've got your loadeds, right? That's loaded. You got your shrimpies, the shrimp. I mean, look how fancy it is. You got your Christmas trees. You got your Christmas trees. You got all these things. And so I'm just wondering what all y'all's little methods are, because it never hurts to have a new method to try. And Shock, put in the pot with water, bring to a boil, turn off heat, and cover for 8 to 10 minutes. Interesting. That is what I do as well. Put the eggs in cold water on the stove, turn the stove on, bring it to a full boil, remove from the heat, cover, but I only do it for 6.5 minutes. And 6.5 minutes is what I consider the perfect hard-boiled egg. And then of course you flush them with cold water. Exactly, yes. And let's see here. Picola T bragging, your daughter-in-law made smoked salmon deviled eggs. You died and went to heaven. Yeah, let's eat those. I will eat those all day long, which is going to be a problem, but I will eat them all day long. And, Pinnell, I love you. I do the same thing, Shock, unless I forget I have the eggs on and I boil it dry and burn the eggs. Pinnell, I've burned rice doing exactly that. I have literally set rice on fire, doing exactly what you have done. So yeah, sometimes boiling happens. Yeah, sometimes boiling happens. And Kenny, you have gotten your little kitchen experiments with your barbecues and your chicken thighs, but you have never made a deviled egg? Oh, they are a pain in the arse to make. And you generally don't get to eat them because they're for a function. But you should still do it. You should still do it. And let's see here. And Darlene, right, yeah, there's so many different kinds of flavors, but yeah, you like the traditional deviled eggs. I would like to try some fancier ones, like that one with the shrimp. I think I'd like that. And the deviled egg one I think I would like. But you know, some people put green olives in their deviled eggs. Not a fan. Not a fan at all. And Shock, you'll try the 6.5 minute yolk next time. You like your yolks not to be all dried out. Yeah, the yolks are very tender when you do the 6.5. And traditional have mustard and or vinegar. Vinegar? Okay, see, this is where the conversation is getting interesting. Vinegar? I know of nothing in regards to vinegar in a deviled egg at all. But I do know that a little bit of mustard, when I say traditional, I just mean mayonnaise, mustard, maybe some paprika, maybe some green onion, maybe some tiny diced other kind of onion or whatever. But just a little vinegar to tangify your devilment. No, that sounds like a brilliant idea. I've literally never heard of vinegar, but suddenly it's like, oh my God, that totally makes sense. And right, Mitchie Mama's, yeah, it would be like putting some relish and mayo in the yolks. Right, exactly. And let's see here. Hold on. So, Terry in Scotland, coming in with the earliest known American recipe for deviled eggs was printed in the Montgomery Advertiser, a local news publication in Montgomery, Alabama, 1877. The first known recipe to suggest the use of mayonnaise as an ingredient in deviled eggs was the 1896 version of the American cookbook named the Boston Cooking School Cookbook by Fanny Farmer. Well, I am very curious now, Terry, what the original deviled egg recipe had if they didn't have a mayonnaise base. Then again, I'm not surprised that something that old wouldn't have a mayonnaise base, because old style cooking definitely uses ingredients that we don't think to use now. So yeah, I'm very curious what that recipe was though. And Picola Tea, you've heard of folks baking eggs in the shell. Yeah, actually, I've told people do, and in fact, it's considered an easier way. Like if you had to make 4 dozen boiled eggs, 4 dozen boiled eggs takes a really long time to make on the stovetop, because having enough water to bring to a boil, and you'd kind of have to do it in batches. So yeah, you put the each egg in a muffin tin, so you've got a dozen eggs per muffin tin, and you can fit like 4 of them in your oven, right? Yeah, people do it all the time. They end up like hard-boiled eggs, but you don't boil them. And the reason why I know this is because I went down a rabbit hole about this very topic earlier this week, because my boss makes her own dog food. And in that dog food, she has about 5 dozen eggs. They've got 2 very large dogs. And in that dog food, they've got 5 dozen eggs as part of the mix. And she's getting so tired of scrambling the 5 dozen eggs, because scrambling 5 dozen eggs takes a really long time. So she was trying to figure out how to boil them, but boiling them on the stovetop was just as much of a pain in the arse as scrambling them. And so we were trying to like fast hack way for her to cook the 5 dozen eggs. And baking them was on the table, although that's not actually what she ended up doing. But that was an option we considered. And pickle juice, mustard, and mayo. Brilliant. I love that idea, Mama Sean, because here's the deal. I usually use chopped up pickles or relish, but that doesn't give the smooth texture that so many people, like myself, really like. And so the pickle juice, see, I'm so happy we're having this conversation. And let's see here. So let's see here. According to the English translation of a recipe found in an unnamed 13th century Andalusian cookbook, boiled egg yolks were mixed with cilantro, pepper, onion juice, then beat with murri, a sauce made of fermented barley or fish oil and salt. I think that sounds to me, seems like, especially if they put them back in the white, that's got to be the first deviled egg recipe. That has to be, right? And let's see here. Grandma's recipe had mustard, salt, pepper, chopped chives, and a bit of onion and a bit of dill. Grandma liked dill. Fair enough. And Shock, you like to use the oiled eggs for the bake or boil. They peel easier. Yeah, they say that, and I have not had that experience. My eggs are really fresh, and they peel just as easily as eggs that are not really fresh. And I've had eggs that sat in my flippin' fridge for so long, still perfectly good. And I made the mistake of thinking, oh, these are so old, it's totally gonna be easy to peel. And boy, oh boy, it was not. So yeah. But I have heard, I wish I could remember this, and it's just now coming back into my mind. A few weeks ago, I saw a trick where you can do something with the egg before you boil it. Or maybe it's after you boil it. No, I think it's before you boil it. You do something with the egg, and it dislocates the membrane, which then will make it easier to peel. God dang it, I'm gonna have to find that. And let's see here. You tried breaking egg on top of your rice and heating in the microwave. Rubbery egg. Yuck. Yeah, no. You know, a lot of Asian people love that raw egg over the ice thing, over the rice thing. I cannot. I've gotta scramble it a little bit before I put it on my rice. And let's see here. Darlene, Dylan, pretty much everything here. Dr. Steve is all Norwegian, and you're Sammy. Okay, so, and when you say Sammy, that means Finnish, right? That's the native Finnish people, or am I making that up? I feel like I might be making that up, but I feel like I might not be making that up. And let's see here. So, and do you smack and roll the egg to peel it, or crack and pick? No, you smack and roll the egg, dude. Why would anybody do it? No, you smack the sides, and then you go vroop-a-dur, and then you go vroop-a-dur. And those are the technical words. Vroop-a-dur, vroop-a-dur. And Facola T, on your flight to Seattle, the gal behind us had a deviled egg sandwich. Pretty stinky. They really are. But you were secretly envious and wish you had one too. I know. Isn't it funny how it's like, God, this just reeks and I want it so much. And Darlene, yes, you do grow fresh dill. And I have my dill planted. It hasn't come up yet, but it is getting watered, and it's gonna come up. And my boss, I also gave her some of those seeds. My boss, she planted those seeds before I did, and so her dill is already coming up. And so your dill is getting used out here. And is this just for deviled eggs or for hard-boiled eggs in general? Do you mean the dirt? When I make deviled eggs, I try to peel them as cleanly and neatly as possible. But yeah, it doesn't really matter if it's if it's deviled or hard-boiled. Everyone wants an easy egg to peel, right? And Kenny, you smack yours in the fat and roll it to the skinny end, and then pick and peel to eat. Well, that's about the strangest thing I've ever heard in my life, and it totally makes sense, but that's not what I do at all. Wow. Okay, so Kenny, what you're saying is, all right, let's just say this is an egg, right? And so you smack it, boom, on the fat side, and then you roll it to the skinny side? See, what I do is I go boom, boom, and then boom, and then I roll it. Does that make sense? I didn't have an egg handy, so I had to use the closest thing. So I'm using my folate. My folate is now an egg. And, oh, you mean the boiling method? Oh, no, the boiling method is, for me, no, it's for hard-boiled eggs. In fact, actually, good question, Gina. If I were gonna make deviled eggs, I might let the eggs sit in that water for 7 minutes instead of 6.5. Because when I eat a hard-boiled egg, I kind of like the middle to be all the way hard and cooked, but not powdery. Whereas, so it's a little smoother texture. Whereas if I was making the egg to create a deviled egg, I wouldn't mind so much if that yolk was cooked all the way through to the powdery stage, because I'm going to be breaking it up and mixing it with other stuff. And so, but yeah, the boiling method, though, for sure, either or, it just is a case of, you just want to keep it, the jammier, they call them like jammy egg yolks, the less cooked the egg yolk, the less time you want it to be sitting in the pot. And so it sounds like, from what Shock is saying with what she does, 8 to 10 minutes, I do it as low as 6.5. So it sounds like 6.5 to 10 minutes gives you a window there of your preferred doneness. And so experiment with what you like, and how you like your egg. You might realize, I'm a 7 minute and 15 second kind of girl, is my egg. And Where's the line between hard and soft-boiled? I think the line is the yolk in a soft-boiled egg is supposed to remain liquidy, but I haven't mastered the soft-boiled egg yet, y'all. Like, I don't. Every time I've tried to make a soft-boiled egg for my ramen, trying to peel a soft-boiled egg, it just it doesn't, I don't. Does anybody know how to make a soft-boiled egg, y'all? Does anybody know how to make a soft-boiled egg? And that's true, Darlene. It also depends on the size of my eggs, along with if you like soft-boiled or hard-boiled. Yeah, my eggs that I'm using are large. Large, not extra large, not jumbo, and not medium. So medium eggs are definitely going to cook way faster, but a large egg is what I'm talking about. I suppose we should have discussed the size of the egg before we started talking about the timing per se. But for a large egg, 6.5 minutes is my preferred. And Pinnell, you do 3.5 minutes is good for you. And Darlene is saying, yes, I prefer soft-boiled eggs and make them more often. And Mama Sean, crack the top of the soft-boiled egg and then scoop it out. Yeah, that would work if you're just eating the soft-boiled egg as the egg. But when you're trying to get a soft-boiled egg, because gall dang it, I've seen it online. It's possible for somebody, not me, but it's possible for somebody in a ramen shop somewhere in Japan. It's possible they cook the soft-boiled egg enough that they're able to actually peel the thing, and then they cut it in half, and it's all gooey in the. I don't even know. And let's see here. So Kenny clarifying, I press down as I roll. Of course, yes. By starting at the fat end, it makes usually a good starter fragment. Yeah, because that's usually where the air bubble is. And doing it like you do, you usually get bigger fragments of shell faster for easier peeling. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Terry, you're bringing up really good point. It depends on your altitude as to how long it takes to boil an egg, right? Perhaps. I cannot speak to that because here's the deal. I live basically at sea level. I live at 250 feet above sea level. So I'm basically at sea level. So, that's a really good point that I cannot speak to that because I'm low elevation. And so these numbers that I'm giving y'all, I guess, goes to, this is sea level stuff, okay? If you're up in the Denvers area, then, my goodness, you might have a completely different take on that. And, Pinnell, I just poached the egg with the ramen. That's actually what I usually end up doing too. But the reason why I tried, true, Terry, sometimes I am high. The reason why I tried to make the soft-boiled egg was because I had this brilliant idea of having a soft-boiled egg that I then marinated in some shoyu and some rice wine vinegar to make a nice little ramen egg that was marinated. And that didn't work out at all. But that was the intention, which is why I didn't poach the egg in with the ramen, because I wanted it to be a marinated egg. But since that didn't happen, I poached the egg in with the ramen, because that's just, And Shock, the internet says the boiling point reduces by 1 degree per 500 feet. Okay, so I guess then if you're in Denver, your boiling is not 212, it's more like 209 or something. And so it would take longer for the eggs to cook because the water's colder? Am I mathing this right? And Kenny, those of us in the Midwest don't know altitudes unless we're in an airplane. All right, we definitely have our 2-minute warning being thrown a couple different times by a couple different people. But Kenny, you don't know your altitude? I mean, I realize that that's interesting. You don't know your altitude, huh? Well, Kenny, if you're going to start baking stuff, you better learn your altitude because it might affect your baking. But I don't think that you're that high up. My best guess is you're not higher than 1,000 feet altitude, but it's hard to say because the altitude of so much of this continent confuses the heck out of me. And Pussycat, yes, you are at sea level. Pussycat is fully at sea level. I am about 250 feet above the sea level. And let's see here. Darlene, I put my eggs in just water covered, bring to a boil on a medium to medium high heat. Once at a boil, you'll boil for 3 to 4 minutes, depending on the size of the egg. Turn off, let it sit for a minute, then drain and cool, crack shell and peel, enjoy. All right. So we've got a couple different ways that we can cook our eggs now. And where's Rick? He might explain this quandary. Yes, he's and Shock, you're at 90 feet here, right? Yeah, no, I had a feeling that you and Gina were close to sea level like I am. The only reason why I'm 250 feet above sea level is because I'm literally on what's known as the high line. And I am like literally at the top of the highest point of the land mass. So the area isn't gonna be anything more than 250 feet for the most part. Most people have a lower elevation. And let's see here, Lady Misty, mahalo to our moderators, and especially Mad Statter for the thought-provoking chat today. Yes, there we go. Thought-provoking egg shots. Yes. Gardening, pests, and eggs. How to soft boil and hard boil. These are the important tasks that we discuss here on Chatter with Statter. And Milwaukee is 850 feet above sea level. You're good here for sea level rise. Yes, absolutely. That's where, if the sea level, apparently when they've done modeling, if the sea level rises, or in the next like 500 years with the sea level rise expected to be what it is, my house would still be dry. So I'm very happy about that. And Gina, you're 105 feet above sea level. Yeah, I had a feeling that you were basically sea level. All right, y'all. So now that we know how high we all are, see what I did there? I want to thank you guys. I want to thank the mods. I want to thank gift subbers and resubbers. And mostly I want to thank all y'all for hanging out and putting up with this silly topic today. From Hellcats and garden pests to eggshells and sea level. Somehow it all fit together. So, we will see each other hopefully on Saturday, 6 p.m. to watch a movie that used to be within arm's reach. We're going to watch Stand By Me. If we don't see each other on Saturday, we'll hopefully see each other on Sunday, 5 p.m. West Coast time. But before all of that, we might see each other tomorrow, Thursday, Daily Pigeon Live with Andy Boomatai on pretty much every streaming platform there is. But if you're watching this on a rerun, well then, you're going to have to find him on YouTube. But if you're also watching this on a rerun, don't forget to like and subscribe. All right, y'all. Take care. Have a good one.